call the Senate to order. Sergeant at Arms, please secure the doors. Senators, please take your seats. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. President.
All right, Senators, since we do not have a pastor or reverend or rabbi, I was at my CCD class for the kids about 3 weeks ago, and they gave the kids this little poem reflection, and I thought at some point this session I'll find a time to use it. So today we'll try it. So please rise for the invocation. Letting go. To let go doesn't mean to stop caring. It means I can't do it for someone else. To let go is not to cut myself off. It's the realization that I don't control another. To let go is not to enable, but to allow learning from natural consequences. To let go is to admit powerlessness, which means the outcome is not in my hands. To let go is not to try to change or blame another. I can only change myself. To let go is not to judge, but to allow another to be a human being. To let go is not to care for, but to care about. To let go is not to fix, but to be supportive. To let go is not to be in the middle of arranging all the outcomes, but to allow others to affect their own outcomes. To let go is not to be protective. It is to permit another to face reality. To let go is not to deny, but to accept. To let go is not to nag, scold, or argue, but to search out my own shortcomings and to correct them. To let go is not to adjust everything to my desires, but to take each day as it comes and cherish the moment. To let go is not to criticize or regulate anyone, but to try to become what I dream I can be. To let go is not to regret the past, but to grow and live for the future. To let go is to fear less and love more. To letting go. Amen.
Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the Senator from the 33rd District.
We need to journalize that wonderful prayer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Without objection, we will journalize the CCD remarks for the third graders. I thought it was quite apt, given crossover week. Just let it go, right? Just let it go. Except for the Senator from the 36th District who wants to be here. He said he had dinner plans in the chamber tonight, so that's his goal. All right, have we all recorded our presence in the chamber other than judicial proceedings? All right, if so, the clerk will take the call. All right, any announcements? Well, with 42 members in the chamber and a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland is now in session. Any announcements? Any announcements or introductions? Nothing? All right. Without objection, we'll waive the reading of the journal from the prior legislative day. Let's go ahead and jump in. We do have look, we've got a lot of work. We got a lot of work. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. A lot of work. Just remember, the longer we go, right? All right. The first order of business is a message from the House. The clerk will read the message.
House Bill 67, Delegate J. Lewis, Correctional Services, Restrictive Housing, Direct Release, JPR.
Majority Leader moves so be considered the reading of the message. The bills will be referred to their appropriate standing committee. It appears we do not have our floor leader. Let's go to special order calendar number 56. Do we have the amendment for this one? Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 221, the President, Department of the Environment Enforcement Authority. Question is on the adoption of the favorable report as amended.
All right, question is on the amendment, on the favorable report as amended. Any discussion on the report? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted. Senator has an amendment. Clerk will collect the amendment. All right. All right, Senator may explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. In this bill, there is a process for filing liens for when there is a violation and a lack of response, the Attorney General can move to file a lien, to serve a complaint. In most of the bill, the OAH sets the fine and not MDE, and the defendant can appeal the decision to circuit court. But in a lower part of the bill, there is a section, it was on page 29 originally of the bill, I think, but if we're looking, basically what it does is in each of the multiple penalty provisions, what this amendment would do is just make sure that it has to be an order of the court before any penalty can be imposed and lien recorded. There are some parts of the bill where that's clear, but there is a section towards the end of the bill where it looks like the department can just come in and levy fees, so put a lien on and levy a fine. So this amendment just tries to say, for example, down on page 25, line 29, it strikes demand and substitutes an order of the court. So it's just trying to be sure that in every spot of this bill, there is a court order that has to order the lien be placed, not just the department doing it. So with that, Mr. President, I would just move the amendment.
All right, Senator moves the amendment. Let's hear from the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a complicated bill, and I've learned more about water law than I've ever wanted to know. But I think my good colleague misinterprets the bill a little bit here, and for that reason, we're going to resist the amendment. In 3 or 4 different places in the bill, it talks about the hearing. In almost every other aspect of the Department of Environment and the code that covers the Department of Environment, it has the exact same language, but in at least 3 areas, including waterworks, which are the places that prepare our water to drink, at dams and reservoirs, which also affect drinking water, and a couple of other areas. They were not covered and didn't have administrative procedures. And we talked about this the other day, and the fine can't happen until they have an opportunity for procedure. This would obviate the purpose of the bill to allow administrative hearings, and it would solely require going to court, which is not what we want to do. It's cumbersome, it takes a long time, and the Attorney General essentially wants to be able to do this in these 3 or 4 areas that are not covered. It is boilerplate language, it doesn't change anything, and I think it's a little bit of a misinterpretation, Senator, unless the committee counsel and the AG's office and I have misread this.
All right. On the amendment, are there any senators who have not yet spoken who wish to speak? Chair recognizes the senator from Montgomery County.
Thank you for that, Mr. President. Actually, if I can have a quick question, if the sponsor of the amendment
Maker of the
would
amendment
mind.
yield.
Absolutely.
Senator may proceed.
So, and I'm trying to look and put in place the pieces. Does this address both the fines and the lien, or just the lien process?
I believe what we're trying to do is we're looking at penalty violations.
So this addresses under this amendment, it would impact both the ability to implement a fine as well as the liens.
Without any sort of court order.
Right.
The section I'm looking at, if I could answer your question more fully, one of the sections we're looking at, it's page 24, the reprint. In addition to any other remedies available at law or in equity, and after an opportunity for a hearing which may be waived in writing by the person accused of violation, the department may impose a penalty for violation of any provision of this title or any regulation, order, or permit adopted or issued under this title. I think the concern that was brought to me is making sure that it's clear that you can't just impose a lien or a fine without the proper process.
But I think your amendment then, if it affects the paragraphs, and that's what I'm trying to clarify that you just referenced, it encompasses both the liens as well as the fines themselves. And you're saying, but there should be a judicial process.
Well, there should
before,
be
before
A process, yes. There
Correct.
should be a process.
Got
That's
it.
what
All
I'm
right.
trying to do here.
And would the floor leader maybe yield for a quick question so
Floor
that
leader
I
yield.
can perhaps have a better understanding?
Senator may proceed.
I see the language that you're referring to with regard to the hearing. Would you share with me who that hearing is before? Who's the arbiter? Who's the one that's making the decision here?
Thank you, Senator. And I asked the exact same question of our committee counsel, and she gave me a very clear, concise outline of how it works, and I'll just take a minute to do it. The Office of Attorney General writes an administrative complaint that is signed by the head of MDE, right? There's someone from the AG's office, as we know, embedded in every agency, right?
The assistant AG
Correct.
within,
Right.
embedded in that department.
Right, but it's
Okay.
got to be signed by the head of MDE before it goes forward. The complaint is served on defendant who has a designated time period to request a hearing before the Office of Administrative Hearings. So they have time to decide if they want to go to hearings or they want to say, no mas, I did it, I'll correct it.
So the hearing's with an administrative judge.
Correct.
Okay. It's not something conducted by the Attorney General's
No,
office.
not at all. Then the next step is the person requests a hearing. The complaint and hearing request are transmitted to the Office of Administrative Hearings, which logs it and schedules a hearing. Eventually, if the OAH can set a fine, not MDE, and the defendant may appeal decision to the circuit court. So in other words, they'll go to the hearing. After the hearing, the ALJ might say, we're going to fine you because you did this multiple times over 6 months. And then, not before the hearing, unless they waive the hearing. And
Correct.
then, if the defendant still doesn't like the fine, they can appeal to the circuit court. If a person fails to request a hearing, the OAH may enter a default judgment against the defendant, against OAH, and again, OAH sets the fine, not MDE. MDE files the judgment in the circuit court like any other civil or administrative judgment. Once filed, the judgment is an automatic lien against real property. Additional steps can be taken to attach other property. So it's the same administrative procedures in the Administrative Procedure Act for the rest of the Department of Environment, and I think probably other agencies as well.
So you're saying that according to committee counsel, this is what, that we've empowered the Attorney General with this authority in other areas of the code,
Exactly.
and including the portion with regard to the ability to place that lien. Is that new, or
No.
is that existing?
In other, I've got a list.
Any chance? Yeah, it'd be great if you have an example of where else it has
I do.
been.
Ambient air quality. It says this is under ambient air quality 610 period 1. It says ultimately
That's in Health General somewhere, or is that in Environment?
environment.
Got it.
It says a lien in favor of the state on any property, real or personal, of the person. Under water pollution, this is 4-417. It says shall be a lien in favor of the state upon the property, both real and personal, of the person. And under radiation, and I've got a pretty long list.
Okay, and in all those instances, that can be an outcome of the administrative hearing decision. It does
Person
not
fails to pay.
require a court to place that order. Is that, am I understanding that correctly?
I believe that if they fail to pay, the department can go to the circuit court and also public utilities. If the person chooses not to pay, the department can go and file in circuit court the lien.
Is that specified? I didn't see that part in the bill. It just says they automatically can place that, file that lien, but it doesn't indicate that they need to go to the court to do it, at least not in the bill.
I believe it does in the bill,
Do
doesn't
we?
it? Yeah, it's filed in the circuit court. That is the procedure in the rest of the environmental article.
You're saying it's elsewhere in the article?
Everywhere else in the article, except for these 3 areas.
No, so what I'm trying, okay, just to make sure I'm perfectly clear, in the bill,
Right.
it reads, if any person who is liable to pay a penalty imposed under this subsection fails to pay the penalty after demand, the amount together with interest and any costs that may accrue shall be a lien in favor of the state on any property, real or personal, of the person,
Yeah.
et cetera, but it makes no reference to it being under the order of the court to
Yeah,
do
well,
that.
if I could, again, I'm going back to ambient air quality, Senator, and I'm quoting from the code.
Okay.
It says, if any person who is liable to pay a penalty imposed under this section fails to pay, if after demand the amount, together with interest and any costs that may accrue, shall be a lien in favor of the state on any property, real or personal of the person, and recorded in the office of the clerk of the court for the county in which the property is located. And I've got at least 4 other sub-agencies that have that.
So it's duplicative of language that we have used elsewhere.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate the clarification.
All right, question is on the amendment. Chair recognizes the senator from the 42nd District on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Could I ask some questions of the floor leader on this?
Senator may proceed.
And I'm going to focus on the same section of the bill that my colleague just was talking about. So it covers liens on real property and personal property. Let's start with real property. This lien, in other cases in which liens are placed on real property, the code is quite explicit about the priority in which various liens will be treated. So, for example, property taxes are liens on real property, and they precede any other liens put on the property, such as by mortgages or the rest. So would this lien come in first place before property taxes, or would this lien follow property taxes? I can't find anything about priority in this bill.
According to counsel, it's treated like any other judgment that the state might bring.
So this would be treated as a judgment lien.
After property tax.
Okay, the bill doesn't say that, but so the answer is that's the intention of the drafter of the bill, that
Yeah,
this
and-
lien be treated as a judgment, and therefore be treated like any other judgment on a
Right.
piece of real property.
And in the other 4 sections that were copied for me in the water pollution radiation, it doesn't specify that, so I assume that's superseded somewhere else in the code. I just don't have a cite for you.
Well, it's important to get this straight so that people know exactly where they stand in the pecking order. If a piece of real property is sold, at the settlement table, the people who have liens on the property need to be paid off in the order of priority. So it's quite important that we know what the order of priority will be for these liens.
All I'm saying is, elsewhere in the Department of Environment code, it doesn't get all the details. It just says they may proceed with a lien filed in circuit court.
Well, let me ask you then about mortgages. Once a mortgage is put down, that mortgage is in the order of priority in terms of the time that it was put in the land records. And any judgment that's entered after the mortgage is junior to the mortgage in terms of priority. Would that be the case in this situation as well?
Yes.
Okay. So let's move on from real property to personal property, which I think is somewhat problematic. First of all, this bill doesn't define personal property. What is personal property?
I'm not an attorney, and I'm only looking at where it's used elsewhere in the code. So I assume whatever the accepted language is.
Well, the code goes into quite a lot of detail in Article 9 of the Uniform Commercial Code, the Secured Transactions article, about what are the various types of personal property.
Right. All I'm saying, in the environmental article, personal and real and personal property are mentioned in at least 4 or 5 or 6 locations. I'm not sure if there is a definition in the in the environmental article or not.
Well, let me give you an example. I've got an SUV. I regard that SUV as my personal property. Would this involve a lien on my SUV, which would supersede liens established by lenders that have noted their liens on my title? How would this work?
Well, first of all, we don't know. It would work just as it does in the rest of the environmental article code.
Well, what is that?
Well,
Well, let's talk about the SUV in particular. When I bought my SUV, I got a loan, and the lender has its name noted on my title as a lien holder on my SUV. Would this lien and I believe an SUV is personal property. So would this lien supersede the loan of the lender that lent me money when I bought the SUV, or would it become junior to it? And how would anyone who wants to lend money on my SUV find out that this lien exists?
Senator, I think on real property, it's fairly straightforward.
It is much more straightforward.
And on personal property, there are other steps the state would have to take.
What are the other steps?
My understanding is the department sends it over to a central collections agency to collect any fines that the violator have refused to pay. And again,
all this bill says is it's recorded in the land records, which has nothing to do with SUVs.
It's filed in the circuit court, I believe. That's what the bill says. It's the standard steps to attach a lien. So in other words,
But that's not a standard step to attach a lien on an SUV. Respectfully,
okay.
there are explicit provisions in the Maryland Code about how you put a lien on an SUV, and they do not involve filing anything in the land records in the circuit court.
Well, Senator, I can tell you that if there's a violator, they can choose to go through administrative hearing. The hearing officer can file a penalty. They can pay it or not pay it, and they can appeal to the courts. If after they take all those steps they refuse to pay it, I believe the agency, if it's after personal property rather than real property, they send it to a collection agency.
Yes, but again, the question, if this bill purports to establish a lien, so if it establishes a lien on my SUV, do you really think that the proper way to do it is by filing a document in the land records that has nothing to do with the vehicle?
No. I may have misspoken. That is not filed in the land records on that example.
Well, the bill says recorded in the office of the clerk of court for the county, and where you record documents in the clerk of the court's office are in the land records. And the paragraph before says, in favor of the state on any property, real or personal, of the person. So, and then it's recorded in the office of the clerk where the property is located. So, is there another place in the clerk's office where you contend that these liens on SUVs would be recorded in order to be effective?
Yes, the civil indexes. So they don't. All of the personal property won't be done in the land records, but in the civil indexes.
So are you aware of any other liens on vehicles that have become effective by recording a notice in the civil indexes in the clerk's office?
I can only tell you in at least 5 other areas in the Department of the Environment, they have this exact same language, and they would pursue it. And if there was personal property, they would go through the civil indexes. Again, I'm not an attorney, but this has been the practice in the state of Maryland since the environmental article was developed.
Well, I've been attorney, and frankly, I've never heard of the civil indexes. We have land records, marriage records, et cetera, but I've never heard of civil indexes in the clerk's office. Let's go to a different kind of personal property. I have securities in securities accounts. Are those, and I regard those securities as my personal property. If this bill's passed, would that lien attach to my securities? Because Article 8 of the UCC, the Uniform Commercial Code, goes into great detail about how you perfect security interests on securities.
Once again, Senator, if someone violates environmental code, particularly with drinking water, they can request an administrative hearing, or they can waive it. After that hearing, the administrative law judge can set a penalty. If the violator of Drinking Water Act is not happy with that, they can go to court. And then if it's adjudicated and they're still found in violation, and there is a fine and they choose not to pay it and they thumb their nose at the state and jeopardize our constituents when it comes to drinking water, for example, one of two things can happen. It can be on real property. The state can go in and file that in the circuit court, or they can take the necessary steps, whether it's garnish wages, and there are multiple steps to do all that. So I think they would follow the other normal procedures that's done in the state code.
Yeah, but with respect, Senator, I'm talking about the part of this bill which says that it constitutes a lien on personal property. This is important because the Uniform Commercial Code, Articles 8 and 9, exist not solely, largely for the purpose of governing who gets a security interest or a lien on either securities or personal property. And if you don't follow the provisions correctly, you don't get a lien. And if you do file them, you have a right under the Uniform Commercial Code to the priority granted in the code to your lien.
And Senator, I would only say that this exact language exists in at least 3 to 5 and maybe more places in the environmental article, and has been in place for 10, 20, 30 years, and no case has been brought to our attention where the collection of the violation through the lien has created a problem. Now,
well, then let me ask you this. So if because of other sections of the Environmental Code and now this section, a lien is granted on securities by filing a notice in the circuit court's office, would that take priority over prior creditors who have properly established their lien on securities by following Article 8 of the Uniform Commercial Code?
Whatever the practice has been in the state of Maryland for the agency would hold. I don't know what to tell you beyond that. I don't know the case law of liens filed by the Department of the Environment and what the final resolution was.
So you're telling me that if the agency has done something in the past which directly contravenes the Uniform Commercial Code, the agency wins, and the party that properly followed the UCC to get a lien on securities loses out to the agency. Is that what you're saying?
No, look, as I understand state law, it does not bypass the UCC process.
It doesn't bypass the UCC
Right.
process. So it comes junior to the UCC process.
That would be my understanding.
All right, let me ask you this. There's nothing in here about what happens to property which is transferred. So I have a rider mower. It's personal property. A lien is filed against me in the land records in the circuit court. I've got my rider mower. I sell my rider mower at a yard sale to someone down the street. Does that lien on my rider mower continue to travel with the rider mower? And is it a lien on his rider mower now so that the state can come in and take possession of his rider mower and sell it to discharge the lien?
Senator, it seems like we're literally getting in the weeds, speaking of the rider mower. Senator, look, I do not know the nuance of that piece of the law. The question here is, do we want to be able to have an administrative procedure for those people who are putting our constituents at risk? And what this bill does is put it in line with the rest of the Department of Environment, with air, with other radiation and other things. So the department can go after those people who not only violate the drinking water and jeopardize our constituents, but then thumb their nose at the state and say, I'm not going to pay, even after I've been cited with a penalty, not only by the administrative law judge, but by the courts. And so how that lien plays out and the nuance of that lien if I sell my riding mower, I don't have an answer for you. I plead ignorance. I don't practice law. I'm not a lawyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for that colloquy. Mr. President, I have an amendment to offer at this point.
Senator, we have an amendment on the floor.
I'm sorry. Okay. I'll wait to offer this until later.
Easy to forget. Easy to forget. All
Mr.
right.
President.
On the amendment, Chair recognizes the maker of the amendment.
Let me try to crystallize, just now that we've talked about another very important issue, which I think is really important in this bill. What my amendment's trying to do is, I think the concern is in section 9, under 9-1025, it's clearly mentioned in the bill, it's on page 13 of the reprint, that the department shall give notice and hold hearings under this subtitle in accordance with the Administrative Procedure Act. So for all the fines, liens, everything the department does has to be under the Administrative Procedure Act. But when you go down to the bill to other sections, that it doesn't mention, down further, it does not mention the Administrative Procedure Act, even once you leave, when you get down into, sorry, I was trying to find the right section, like 12-502, and it doesn't mention it again, and 12-504. So what my amendment is trying to do is just make it clear that we're going to follow that process all the way through. So I would move my amendment and ask for a roll call vote, Mr. President.
All right. On the amendment, any further discussion?
Yes.
No.
Mr.
Chair
very
recognizes
briefly,
the...
Mr. President,
the
this was an
committee.
amendment offered in committee which was rejected. And in each of the sections, ladies and gentlemen, there's a section that says whether it's under 911 or under the next section. In each section, there is language that says, in addition to any other remedies available at law or in equity and after an opportunity for a hearing. It is adding that in 4 different sections. That hearing is administrative hearing, as is held in the rest of the environmental article. This would remove the administrative procedure. It undoes the intent of the bill, and I would urge a red vote.
All right. On the amendment, if there's no further discussion, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 31 votes in the negative, the senator's amendment fails. There was another amendment. Chair recognizes the senator from the 42nd District has an amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Let us load it up. Senator may explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a simple amendment. It merely takes out of this bill reference to liens on personal property. It leaves in the bill liens on real property. It takes out the reference to liens on personal property. And let me explain why this is extremely important. Maryland has enacted, and for many decades, has it adhered to the Uniform Commercial Code. That word uniform is important, because exactly the same language has been enacted by every single state in the country. Article 8 deals with securities. Article 9 deals with other types of personal property. If Maryland should deviate from the Uniform Commercial Code and become ununiform, it will be terrible for the engaging of commercial activity in Maryland. People in other states will not be able to rely on perfecting security interests with the proper priority in the property that they want to take security interests in. So this will literally split the Uniform Commercial Code in half and put Maryland as an outsider, one all by itself with 49 states that follow the Uniform Commercial Code, and Maryland standing on the outside. We do not need to include personal property in this bill. It is a very bad idea. The bill is very poorly described. Just a couple of words are somehow we're expected to take a couple of words in a bill and have them mean everything that's in the Uniform Commercial Code. That just doesn't work, and we should take the words personal property out of this bill. I press my amendment and
All right,
ask for a recorded vote.
The senator has moved the amendment. The chair recognizes the chair of the committee on the amendment.
Colleagues, I take issue that it throws out the Uniform Code. The Uniform Code exists now. I think it applies to the environmental article. And I would point out, this language is not only in the radiation section and the ambient air quality, it's also in the public service language. So the Public Service Commission, under pre-treatment plants overseen by the Public Service Commission, says, and I quote, in 6, if a person who is liable to pay a penalty imposed under this subsection fails to pay it after demand, the amount together with interest and any cost that may accrue shall be a lien in favor of the commission on any property, real or personal, of the person and recorded in the office of the clerk of the court for the county in which the property is located. This is in code in multiple sections, not just in the environmental article, but other places as well. You know, if you want to add these areas under the environmental article and limit, narrow, or strip some of their authority, we can do it, but I think it would actually send a message that we're not serious about people who violate drinking water aspects of the code. So I would urge a red vote.
All right, on the amendment, Chair recognizes the senator from the 34th District on the amendment.
Yeah, just a question for the floor leader, please. I'm sorry, for the chairman, please.
For the floor leader, Senator may proceed.
So I'm bad on the whole Public Service Commission thing, and I apologize for that. That's my weakness here. But I thought that just governed like utility companies. What does that govern, the Public Service Commission?
Do we want to have a
You
finance?
told us, I was making the point that whether an environmental article or other articles, they use personal property.
Right.
It has not been an issue in terms of superseding or throwing out
No, I got
the
it.
uniform code. That was my only
No,
point.
I got that, but the I think I'm trying to draw the difference between. Look, I don't want to interfere with the public policy you're trying to establish here of going after people who flaunt the health regulations. I really don't oppose that at all. This is really about making sure. I mean, unfortunately, this bill didn't come through judicial proceedings. It's got a lot to do with liens and stuff like that. Those are technical. We try to pour over those in great deal to make sure we're not screwing up the code. So that's my interest here, is to make sure that we don't do that. I'm not trying to attack the overall purpose of the bill. So please. But if you were to say, for example, a utility company, well, everything is owned by the company, which is sort of different. But in this bill, you touch a lot of things that would be owned by businesses and the like. So and even individuals. So that's a big difference, because if you go after, say, a utility company and like a BG&E, they own the property, they own the stuff, they own the vehicles. That's a little bit different, because how that affects Article 9. But I have a great concern in this, because we have to be careful about where liens go, because the GMs, people sell vehicles, they sell personal property, and if we play fast and loose with these liens and how the liens are perfected, it is incredibly disruptive. And so you're going after, potentially, not you, excuse me, but the bill would go after personal property owned by people, by small corporations, and the like. And so if we're screwing up the liens, that's just going to get Maryland a bad reputation nationwide about not having reliable, perfected liens. And liens are important, because the lien is, I bought a vehicle. It's a $40,000 vehicle. I put $2,000 down. I got $38,000 loan. The guy who gave me the loan needs to have an interest in my car, so that I can't sell it. I can't. If a creditor comes after me, they can't get that $38,000. It's perfected, and there's a way to perfect all those things. So, with all due respect, this isn't an attack on the overall purpose of the bill, but just to make sure that the bill doesn't inadvertently mess some stuff up. And that's why I asked the question about the Public Service Commission, because that language, while it might be very appropriate for them, it seems to me that the sponsor's amendment makes a whole lot of sense for most of the things here. And that's why I would kind of want to be a friendly amendment, because this isn't a bad bill. It's just I'm struggling to make sure that it doesn't inadvertently trample over the rest of the law. That's all I'm trying to do.
And I hear that, Senator. I hear it from the sponsor. Look, one section of this bill deals with dams and reservoirs that contribute to drinking water. They also deal with facilities that are called waterworks, which prepare the water, process it before it gets to us, and a number of other areas dealing with water. And I can only tell you, when the Attorney General introduced this bill, he said, I want to make it comparable and parallel with the other components under the environmental article. And that's what it does. It's the same language. The question, I think, is before us, and I understand you're concerned about liens, and I know you practice law, and your colleague does too, is what kind of protections do we want to give people who are not only violating the law, but are ignoring the actions taken by the Office of Administrative Hearings,
Right.
as well as the courts.
Sure.
And so in the other sections of the law, they have said you can go after real property if they thumb your nose, or you can go after personal property. I can't tell you if it's been 2 or 10 or 20. I don't know that answer. The Attorney General said we should have the same authority to do that, to ensure that these violations are kept to a minimum, and we can collect the money.
And you can tell from the Maker's amendment that we're not as concerned about real property, because those move slower, and you don't sell real property like vehicles and buildings and stuff, or, temporary buildings and things. So that's his concern, I think, which I think is a legitimate concern. And let's face it, the real bulk of the money is probably going to be in the real property, and so, to me, accommodating on the personal property is a small accommodation just for the purpose of the code, and that's why I think that it's a valid amendment, simply because we're talking a small piece which could inadvertently bleed into a lot of other areas we don't intend to. So that's why, the real property, you've gotten 99% of what you're looking for, and so all we're trying to do is make sure the code stays. Thank you. I support the amendment.
All right. Any senators who have not yet spoken who wish to speak? If not, Chair recognizes the maker of the amendment. On the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let me just give one example of what a mess this will make of the state's personal property statutes dealing with security interests. So right now, the way to establish a security interest under Article 9 of the Uniform Commercial Code is to file a financing statement with the State Department of Assessments and Taxation. And any person or entity thinking of lending money to that person simply has to go online to SDAT and call up the information online and see online who has a prior security interest in that personal property. That's the way it's done. It's inexpensive. If this bill passes, everyone thinking of lending money to be secured by personal property will have to pay someone to conduct a title search in the real property records to find out whether one of these notices has been filed in the real property records. That's a huge cost. You're paying someone on an hourly rate to go to the land records and search the land records. So applying this bill to personal property is going to screw up a lot of stuff, cost a lot of money, and it's not necessary, as my colleague just said. The lion's share of the value here is in the real property. It's not in the personal property.
All right. On the amendment, if there's no further discussion, senators request a roll call vote. Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote? Explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 24 votes in the negative, the senator's amendment fails. Are there additional amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 221 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. All right, senators, before we go to the next one, just want to talk calendar here. So we're about 45 minutes in. We're not going to make it. So tomorrow, we've got the Basilica event at 11, is that correct? So start looking at 2 o'clock tomorrow, 2 o'clock tomorrow. So we've just got too much work. We got too much work. All right, let's go to Special Order Number 57. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 582, Senator Bailey, Natural Resources, Recreational and Private Land, Hunting. Questions on the adoption of the amendments offered from the floor by Senator Ellis.
All right, we are at, let's see, the two committee amendments. We had an amendment agreement potentially on this one. Apologies. We have the amendments from the senator from Charles County. Chair recognizes the senator.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. So in speaking with the floor leader, the sponsor of the bill, I would like to withdraw this amendment.
All right, Senator has moved to withdraw the amendment. Are there any objections? The amendment is withdrawn. Senator has another substitute amendment.
Yes, Mr. President. Introduce Amendment 323022.
All right.
Thank you.
Senator may explain the amendment.
Yes, this bill 582 would open up hunting on private lands to individuals invited there, and it's believed that no guardrails would be there as far as being aware of neighbors and neighboring properties and obstacles to hunting. So this amendment simply insert in the contract that hunters sign to go on to the property, and sort of phrase that all property boundaries would be observed, and simply that. And we negotiated with the floor leader, and I think this is a friendly amendment.
All right, senators move the amendment. Chair recognizes the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to thank my colleague from Charles County who worked with the bill sponsor, and myself and the committee chair were able to get something that everybody was pleased with, worked it out, and we were glad to accept this as a friendly amendment.
Excellent, wonderful. All right, any objections to the senator's amendment? Without objection, the amendment is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 582 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Let's go to Special Order Calendar number 5858. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 612, Senator Bidle, street racing and exhibition driving, prohibited acts and enforcement. Question is on the adoption of the favorable report as amended.
We were waiting on an amendment, I think, on this. Chair recognizes the chair of the committee on the, should we adopt the report?
Yes, because I have an amendment that will, yes.
All right,
So
on the
disrupt
report, any further discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is, as amended, is adopted. It looks like the committee has a subsequent amendment. Chairman may explain the amendment. Thank you.
All right, I think where we left off was the senator from Carroll County was asking about decibel levels in different jurisdictions, and so MVA promulgates regulations. So there is a statewide standard, and then there are also different standards that municipalities and counties do. The senator from Montgomery County, Senator Prince George's County, came to me, worked out an amendment. Essentially, what this would say, what this says, is that that you cannot modify a muffler so that it goes. The shop cannot modify a muffler so that it exceeds the statewide standard of sound. Okay, it only applies to the shop, right? Right now, it's already illegal for you to modify your muffler such that it increases noise at any rate. So this is a separate, that's already the law. So this is a separate penalty of $200 to the shop that affixes the muffler that exceeds the statewide standard. It's more than I ever wish to know about mufflers and sound. But so that's what that is. I'd move the amendment.
All right, Chairman moves the amendment. Are there any objections to the amendment?
I'm sorry. Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'm not objecting. This is hard. I just want to thank the chairman and the committee for working with us on this issue.
Thank you, Senator. Excellent. All right, any objections? Without objection, the amendment is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill. Chair recognizes the senator from the 38th District.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would the floor leader rise, please?
Senator, we don't have anything before us at the moment. Does the senator have an amendment?
No, I do not.
We do not have anything before us at the moment,
Okay.
unfortunately. We can figure it out on third. All right, the Senate Bill 612 is ordered printed for third reader. Just as a quick editorial note, the last two bills, several floor sessions, contention, people came around the table, figured it out. That's the beauty of the legislative process right there. So, all right. All right, we've got the layover calendar number 40. Number 40, clerk read the bill.
Senate Bill 564, Senator Lee, landlord and tenant and wrongful detainer actions, eviction prevention services. Questions on the adoption of the committee amendments and the favorable report.
All right, questions on the two committee amendments? Chair recognizes the minority whip.
Thank you, Mr. President. My questions have been answered, so it's 3 in a row.
All right, look at this. All right, any discussion of the amendments? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The two committee amendments are adopted. On the favorable committee report as amended, any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 564 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. We've got a report from the Committee on Finance. This is number 12. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 150, Senator Augustine, Maryland Medical Assistance Program, dental coverage for adults, favorable with 2 amendments.
All right, let's see. Chair recognizes the senator from Prince George's as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Senate Bill 150, Maryland Medical Assistance Program, dental coverage for adults. Earlier today, we heard from the chair of Budget and Tax about some of the just outstanding things that we're going to be able to do, and this is one of them. And I'm really grateful to the chair of Budget and Tax for being such a hero on this. It's been a 10-year effort, actually, working on this, providing this dental coverage for adults. And colleagues, just to sort of highlight, for me at least, how important this is, you know, there are 800,000 Marylanders who are in the adult Medicaid program who right now do not have dental coverage. They don't have dental coverage. And, you know, colleagues, a few years ago I went to a Mission of Mercy event. Many of you probably have been to Mission of Mercy events where you have dentists historically have given their time, you know, I went to one at the University of Maryland College Park where people stayed out overnight in the rain, waiting to be able to get inside to receive dental coverage that was given by some of our dentists, over $1 million of coverage at this particular instance. And I was really struck when I went to this one, because when I went in there, I saw my constituents. And, you know, I talked to them about the fact that they were there and they had to suffer, as the chairman had spoken earlier, because they had no way to get this dental care. And this has taken, as I said, over 10 years of trying to work to get this. And this is a tremendous investment that we are making in the people. While we have made this tremendous investment, it's also going to save us money over time. And so it's a thoughtful thing on our part to avoid emergency care for folks. Dental health is a help for medical health. And so I am just really pleased to offer to the body, as amended, Senate Bill 150, which requires Medicaid beginning January 1st, 2023, subject to the limitations of the state budget, to provide dental services, including diagnostic, preventive, restorative, and periodontal services for adults with household incomes up to 133% of the federal poverty level. The bill makes related changes, including repealing a pilot program for limited dental coverage for adults. Amendment 1 alters the purpose paragraph. Amendment 2 strikes the term comprehensive from the bill related to dental services and specifies coverage of diagnostic, preventive, restorative, and periodontal services as described. I move the amendment and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
All right, floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is amended, is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 150 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 418, Senator Feldman, Energy Generation, Transmission, and Storage Projects, Required Community Benefit Agreement and Labor Standards, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the sponsor of the bill as the floor leader.
Apologize, I have the next bill. Hold on one second. Thank you, Mr. President. As amended, Senate Bill 418 requires on approval of a certificate of public convenience and necessity for a generation station with a cumulative nameplate capacity of 2 megawatts or more. We're talking about big projects here. Or on approval and exemption from the requirement to obtain a CPCN for such a generation station, that the developer of the proposed project meets specified requirements related to community benefit agreements. Number 2, prevailing wage rates. And number 3, contractor, subcontractor certifications and records. The standards under the bill must be enforced by the Department of Labor. Amendment number 1 alters the purpose paragraph. Amendment number 2 strikes the applicability of the bill to energy storage devices or projects, alters the contents of the applicable community benefits agreements, and requires the developer to meet the bill's requirements, and requires the Department of Labor to enforce the bill's requirement, as I just described, rather than requiring the PSC to take those enforcement actions. We had, we had a unanimous vote in the committee. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report, Mr. President.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 418 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 420, Senator Rosapep, Employment of Minors, Work Permits, Information Sharing, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes Senator from Montgomery County as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, we heard earlier this morning about the obsession that our good friend from College Park has about apprenticeships and workforce development, and this bill is a reflection of some of that creative and good work that the senator has done. And what it does is allow for a 16-year-old or older who has a work permit, or the parents of such a child, to give some contact information to the Department of Labor, and then businesses that enroll with the Department of Labor can get the information and reach out to that individual with the work permit and share with them job opportunities for when they graduate. Very clever idea, a great way to connect resources and provide opportunities for our, working youth who have their work permits to be streamlined right into a good job when they graduate. Amendment number 1 alters the title and is technical. Amendment 2 alters the bill as introduced by specifying that the minor must be 16 or older, clarifies the registration requirement, and makes clear that the contact information may only be released if the parent or the guardian or the 16-year-old elects to allow the sharing of the information, and specifies that the parent, etc., opt in to the process. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. The bill was voted out unanimously in committee. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. On the amended report, any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 420 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 524, Senator Feldman, Public Utilities, Energy Efficiency and Conservation Programs, Energy Performance Targets and Low-Income Housing, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the sponsor of the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. One of the most Maryland's been very, very successful in terms of energy efficiency through our Empower program over the years, actually leading the nation. One of the problems that's been identified is everybody pays into the program, but not everybody benefits under the program. Our low-income folks disproportionately pay a lot in, get very little out of it. This attempts to correct that, borrowing from some ideas from some other states by establishing a target specifically for low-income folks. So as amended, Senate Bill 524 requires the Department of Housing and Community Development to procure or provide energy efficiency and conservation EE&C programs and services for electricity customers for the 2021 to 2023 and 2024 to 2026 Empower Maryland program cycles, subject to specified requirements. These programs and services must be designed to achieve a target annual incremental gross energy savings of at least 0.4% per year compared to 2016. Starting in 2023, the bill establishes the Green and Healthy Task Force staffed by the Department of Housing and Community Development. The bill also establishes several reporting and planning requirements for that department and the PSC, including the DHCD develop a plan to provide energy efficiency retrofits to all low-income households by 2030. Amendment number 1 alters the purpose paragraph. Amendment number 2 authorizes the continuation of the program through the 2024 to 2026 Empower cycle, assuming that program is reauthorized next year. Alters the benchmark year from 2019 back to 2016, removes a prohibition on a particular type of insulation and makes technical changes. Mr. President, there was no opposition in the committee hearing. I move the amendment adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 524 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 526, Senator Feldman, electricity, offshore wind, renewable energy credits, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes bill sponsor, the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. We've been trying to get our offshore wind industry in this state up and running, and we've made some strides, but there have been many delays in some of the big projects. One of the problems we've identified is a very cumbersome mechanism or structure in terms of payments, and so we've borrowed from New Jersey, Massachusetts, some other states to simplify and streamline that process to get these projects moving. And so as amended, Senate Bill 526 modifies the offshore wind renewable energy credit mechanism, OREC, under the Maryland's Renewable Energy Portfolio Standard, or RPS program. Instead of requiring each electricity supplier to purchase ORECs and meet RPS requirements related to ORECs, the bill requires each electric company to meet the RPS requirement related to the ORECs and specifies that an electricity supplier must meet the RPS requirements for all Tier 1 and Tier 2 sources except offshore wind. The bill further requires the PSC to adopt regulations that establish a non-bypassable surcharge that allows an electric company to recover all costs associated with the purchase of ORECs from all distribution customers of the electric company. Amendment number 1 alters purpose paragraph. Amendment number 2 strikes the bill as introduced and affects the bill as described, makes technical and conforming changes, and strikes provisions related to offshore wind from sections related to RPS compliance by an electricity supplier. There is no fiscal impact. I'd move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report. Just one final note. The upshot of all this is basically we're taking a process that involves the collection from 200 suppliers to get that OREC money down to one single payment point person, the electricity company. So it's 200, much less cumbersome, a good piece of legislation. Again, Mr. President, I move the amendments and adoption of the favorable committee report.
Excellent. All right, Senator moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? Chair recognizes Senator from Charles County on the report.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Question for the floor leader.
Floor leader yield. Appears so. Senator may proceed.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, you have tremendous knowledge of this issue, and this is not in my wheelhouse. And you use a lot of acronyms I'm trying to follow, and I just got lost so quick, so easy. So RPS and AMS, and you know, could you go again through it and tell us what those acronyms mean?
Well, so we created 15 years ago something called the Renewable Portfolio Standard, which set targets for, in particular, clean energy targets. So, for example, this body, in fact, you voted 2 years ago the Clean Energy Jobs Act of 2019, which I sponsored, which will allow us to get to 50% renewable energy by 2030. So that's when we say RPS program, Renewable Portfolio Standard. It's a mix of a structure, a marketplace whereby we create a marketplace where we can incentivize more renewable energy use in the state of Maryland. So that's what RPS is. But then within that, the way the whole market works, we have these renewable energy credits where there's a marketplace of puts and gets, and ORECs, which is the subject of this bill, is directed to offshore. Yeah, it's specifically the offshore wind renewable energy credit, OREC. And so this has to do with how the OREC is collected, paid to the developer so that they can have the money to make those big projects, to create all those wind jobs. We had all these good press conferences, all the potential economic upside for our state to create renewable energy wind, and so this is all part of that, Senator.
Thank you for breaking it down. I understand it now. Thank you.
All right. On the report, any further discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 526 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 548, Senator Lamb, local health officers removal grounds and process favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the chair of the committee as the floor leader.
Thank you. Senate Bill 548 repeals the provision that the health officer for a county serves at the pleasure of the relevant governing board and the Secretary of Health. If the Secretary and the governing board concur on the removal of a health officer, the Secretary must provide written notice to the health officer that includes the basis for removal, documentation supporting the removal, and notice of the opportunity to request a hearing with the Secretary. The bill also authorizes a health officer to appeal a removal decision to the Secretary and the Office of Administrative Hearings. Amendment 1 is technical. Amendment 2 removes the specific reasons for which a health secretary may be removed, specifies time frames, and clarifies the process that apply to the bill's hearing process by the Secretary and the Office of Administrative Hearings. Makes clear that the health officer may not carry out their duties during an appeal, and removes the health officer from appealing a personal action under provisions that apply to management service employees because of the bill's appeals process. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, chair recognizes the senator from the 34th district.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would the floor leader yield for questions?
Yes.
Senator may proceed.
Madam Chairman, so the last part of this that you just referred to is that it removes the health officer from the other procedures. What were those other procedures that otherwise would have applied in the case of someone in this position?
It removes them from appealing a personal action under provisions that apply to the management service employees.
Right, so there's already procedures that apply for appeals for health officers. I'm just wondering why we're pulling the health officer out of those procedures and establishing a new set of procedures.
The whole idea of the bill is that right now, health officers in all of our counties have no autonomy, and they aren't just judged in a systematic manner and with public review if they're going to be removed. You've got the health secretary and the county councils, or whatever the governing bodies of the counties are, able just to remove them without cause. They all are demoralized. There's a lot of movement, more so than is healthy for our respective counties under the current thing. So we're trying to come up with just regularized personnel procedures under which they might need to be removed, but these are the steps they would go through to be removed in their.
I got that. I'm just wondering, we from what you've described,
this is much more detailed, and it's more with publicly known criteria as to what the steps are that everybody would have to go through. Right now, you don't have any steps. They can remove them for any reason and without any reason, and they don't have to answer to anybody. And that's really all the bill is doing.
I mean, that generally applies to all policymakers, right? So we're making this a special kind of policymaker.
No, it's not. Most of state officers or local officers, if you're going to remove them, you got to do it for cause, or you state what the problems and the deficiencies are. Right now, they can be removed just because somebody feels like it. And
okay.
This is trying
and then this also, so I'll look later on what those procedures are, because it sounds like you already have certain procedures we're removing them from. But then it also says that we're going to appeal that to the Office of Administrative Hearings. So it sounds like the ultimate decision maker here is some attorney a contract attorney in the Office of Administrative Hearings. That's who's going to make the final decision here on whether we should retain a county health officer.
You simply have a hearing board that does this kind of work, looking at the situation to see if it is removal without any cause and without any explanation. After all, they are serving the public in the county in which they have to which they have been appointed. And so that's why you go through the Office of Administration. Right now, nobody has to do anything. They can just come in one morning and be told you're out.
Okay.
It might be because somebody on the council doesn't like them, or because they are just right now special at-will employees.
Sure.
You can't keep good ones, and a lot of people wouldn't even accept the job, people who
Right.
have been highly qualified,
I get all that.
because there are not structural standards for their performance nor for their removal. And this is all we're doing, is trying
Right.
to
So,
make it
so
regular.
currently we have a Board of Health that would hire and fire them by a majority of, I think it's usually 7 on the boards of health. So not just an individual, it'd have to be a majority of a Board of Health, right, would have to hire and fire.
They may be hired in various ways in different counties.
Okay.
But the thing is, once they're there are no standards as to what it is that must happen if you're unhappy with them.
Right.
And
Well,
we
there-
don't
there is
even-
a standard.
And
It's in the-
there's no standard about who the who is, whether it's
Sure.
the county council or whether it's the state secretary, but either of them can just come in one day with no structure, with no appeals process, and say you're out. Get
So-
your hat and coat.
Okay, I mean,
And
actually, what the law says is that the Board of Health at their meeting would have to decide to remove the public health officer, and then they would have to get the
They
concurrence
don't
of-
even have to be the one to decide. The secretary could also decide. I mean, the thing is, they're the only officers that we have for which there isn't a set of written personnel policies, expectancies, and structures for removal.
Does-
Obviously, some will sometimes need to be removed.
Does any other, in the removal process, do you know for any other officer, is the final decision made by some lawyer, some hired lawyer in the Office of Administrative Hearings? Is that who makes the final decision?
I don't know who makes the final decision about somebody unnamed who might be in some office, but here there is nothing in writing. All of us suffer.
Okay.
If they can be appointed and removed with no criteria as to who needs to prove what is satisfactory, what is unsatisfactory. They simply outside of the state personnel structure. And so we're just trying to add structure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I have a lot of questions on this bill that I'd like to get answers to. And I wonder if we can just special order this maybe to Monday. It'd be tough to get answers on Saturday and Sunday for that, and we could pick it back up on Monday.
Let's check with the Senator's moved a special order to Monday. Chair recognizes the chair of the committee on the special order. Senator objects unless it's tomorrow.
It's going to be tough to get answers from these questions over Saturday and Sunday. They're just special order. I'm sorry. What's that? All right. We'll take well, I'd ask till Monday, but we'll take what the president will give me.
No. All right. Let's just do the next session. If we don't have the answers, then we'll give another opportunity for additional questions.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Any objections? Without objections, the bill will be special ordered to the appropriate time in the next session. All right. All right. Let's do, clerk read the next bill.
Senate Bill 557, Senator Signor, Baltimore County, West Baltimore County Redevelopment Authority, favorable with 2 amendments.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes the chair of the committee.
Senate Bill 557 authorizes Baltimore County to establish by law the West Baltimore County Redevelopment Authority. The authority may establish, impose, and collect tolls, rates, rentals, fees, and charges related to the authority's undertakings and property. The authority may issue revenue bonds to finance redevelopment activities. The authority's bonds are not backed by the full faith and credit of the county unless applicable referendum provisions are followed.
All right, Senators, it's getting a little loud. Please, attention to the speaker.
Amendment 1 makes changes to the purpose paragraph in the preamble. Amendment 2 strikes provisions that would have authorized the county to delegate to the authority the power of eminent domain. It prohibits the county from delegating the power of eminent domain to the authority and authorizes the authority to make recommendations to the county on issues related to the county's power of eminent domain. This proposal has gone before the county delegation and has passed muster there. There is no fiscal impact. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 557 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. We'll stick with finance. Calendar number 14. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 643, Senator Lee, Commercial Law, Maryland Personal Information Protection Act, revisions favorable with one amendment.
Chair recognizes the Vice Chair of the committee as the floor leader.
Thank you, Ms. Oh,
No,
yeah, that's not 643.
677.
She called it different. She called 643, I thought you said.
Oh, I have 14 right here. That's correct.
Okay. Okay. Well, okay. Do you have 677, Madam Chair?
We have 14.
Okay. Senate Bill 677, Senator Kelly, Maryland Healthcare Commission Nursing Homes Audit, favorable with 2 amendments.
I think you skipped one of them. I think they skipped a calendar.
Senate Bill 677.
All right. Senate Bill 677 as amended requires the Maryland Healthcare Commission to annually post on its website a report that includes specified information about licensed nursing homes. The information includes existing change of ownership reporting requirements, trends regarding the use of nursing homes, and specified financial information collected by the Commission. The 2 amendments strike most of the language in the original bill and amend the bill as just described. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amended report is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill or its title? Hold on one moment. We're not there yet. All right. Any further amendments? If not, now, Senate Bill 677 is ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 700, Senator Klossmeyer, Maryland Department of Health Prevent Workplace Violence in Healthcare Settings Public Awareness Campaign Work Group, favorable with 1 amendment.
Chair recognizes the sponsor of the bill as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 700 requires the Secretary of Health to establish a Prevent Workplace Violence in Healthcare Settings Public Awareness Campaign Work Group to develop a public awareness campaign on preventing workplace violence, recognize and accommodate the needs of patients with mental health disorders and substance abuse disorders, and create a plan for implementing the public awareness campaign, including distributing information on workplace violence in a healthcare setting. The amendment replaces one designated member of the work group with another and makes related conforming changes, and I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 1 committee amendment and the favorable committee report. On the amendment, any discussion? If If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The one committee amendment is adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 700 is ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 708, Senator Lamb, Maryland Department of Health, Office of the Inspector General, and Emergency Procurement Audits, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes Senator from Anne Arundel as floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, a lot of us heard about what happened with the vaccines and how they were mishandled, and maybe some people didn't get a very effective vaccine. So this bill actually establishes a compliance officer within the Maryland Office of the Inspector General for Health to ensure that units and employees of MDH comply with best practices in healthcare, public health, and government administration, and laws, regulations, and MDH policies. The bill also expands the matters that the Inspector General may investigate. Amendment number 1 is technical. Amendment 2 is clarifying, requires the IG or compliance officer to respond to an individual who files a complaint or an allegation within 7 days and specifies the contents of the response and strikes an audit requirement. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. And the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 708 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 824, Senator Kramer, Health, Accessibility of Electronic Advanced Care Planning Documents, favorable with 7 amendments.
Chair recognizes the sponsor of the bill as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, advance directives are exceedingly important to help our emergency care physicians know what the wishes are of a person who may end up in their hospitals and not having access to or knowledge of the desires of the individual can be certainly problematic. As a consequence, there was a work group formed that spent a lot of time over the interim this past year working on the issue. It involved all the different varied interests, and this bill reflects the work product of that work group, and it will improve opportunities for folks to have access, learn about advanced directives, have access to them, and upload them to a single place where emergency room physicians can find them when needed. As mentioned, there are 7 amendments. Amendments 1 and 2 are technical and repeal requirements. The electronic advanced directives meet authentication guidelines. Amendment 3 adds clarifying language. Amendments 4 and 5 alter definitions. Amendment 6 clarifies the use of security measures. Amendment 7 is clarifying. The bill was voted out of committee unanimously, Mr. President. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the 7 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 824 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 851, Senator Carter, Labor and Employment, Username and Password Privacy, Law Enforcement Agency Exemption, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the Senator from Baltimore City's floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 851 has introduced exempted law enforcement agencies from the prohibition against employers requesting or requiring an employee or applicant for employment to disclose a username, password, or other means for accessing a personal account or service through an electronic communication device. This bill raised a lot of conversation in our committee. We, with the chair's direction, we actually convened a work group and was able to make some significant amendments to the bill. Amendment 1 is technical and alters the title of the bill. Amendment number 2 alters the bill as introduced by adding a definition and specifying the circumstances when a law enforcement agency may have access to an applicant for a police officer position, social media accounts during a background check, which is similar to current practice. As amended, there is no opposition. I move the amendments and the adoption of a favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 amendments in the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 851 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 859, Senator Watson, Public Health, Sickle Cell Disease Registry Establishment, favorable with 1 amendment.
Chair recognizes Senator from Prince George's as a floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 859 requires the Maryland Department of Health to establish and maintain a registry of individuals diagnosed with sickle cell disease. The purpose of the registry is to serve as a single repository of accurate, complete records to aid in promoting the citing of relevant physician offices and healthcare facilities that provide infusion therapy in areas of the state with high populations of individuals with sickle cell disease. The amendment specifies that the registry be integrated with the state-designated Health Information Exchange. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the amendment and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 1 committee amendment and the favorable committee report. On the amendment, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 1 committee amendment is adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amended report is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 859 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 926, Senator Patterson, Labor and Employment, Apprenticeship and Training Council, Representation, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes Senator from Prince George's as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 926 specifically requires that the Maryland Apprenticeship and Training Council and consultants to the council include representation of individuals who are Black and Latino. This body passed this during the 2021 session, you may recall. Amendment 1 is technical. In working with the Vice Chair of Budget and Tax, Amendment 2 establishes the Apprenticeship 2030 Commission to examine and make recommendations to expand access to apprenticeship in order to reduce skill shortages in high-demand occupations and provide affordable training for career pathways for young people to participate in apprenticeships, and requires the governor to include specified amounts in the budget for the next 3 fiscal years for a group in Prince George's County for workforce development for youth and adults. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 926 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 985, Senator Hershey, Labor and Employment, Unemployment Insurance Violation, Penalties, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the sponsor of the bill as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. As amended, Senate Bill 985 increases criminal penalties for violations of unemployment insurance fraud. It requires the Secretary of Labor to enter into an MOU with other state agencies to implement and enforce these provisions. It requires the Secretary to conduct a mandatory program integrity activities. It expands the required contents of the annual unemployment insurance report, and it requires the Secretary to perform a full review of suspicious or potentially improper claims. Amendment number 1 is technical. Amendment number 2 adds provisions that further outline the provisions just described, and there was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the amendment and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Now to the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 985 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Let's go to keep with the Committee on Finance, Calendar 15. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 632, Senator Hester, Maryland Health Benefit Exchange, Small Business and Nonprofit Health Insurance Subsidies Program, favorable with 3 amendments.
Chair recognizes the Vice Chair of the Committee as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. As amended, Senate Bill 632 requires the Maryland Health Benefit Exchange to convene a work group to study and make recommendations related to the establishment of a small business and nonprofit health insurance subsidy program. The work group must make findings and recommendations regarding the objectives and target metrics, optimal scope and design features, cost of the administration of the program, sources and levels of funding needed for the program. Amendment number 1 makes technical changes. Amendments 2 and 3 strike provisions that would require establishment of the subsidies program and substitute the required work group. Instead, the amendments also include a provision expressing a legislative intent that future funding be appropriated in the budget to establish and operate a small business and nonprofit health insurance subsidy program. There was no opposition at the committee hearing to the bill as amended. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 3 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 3 committee amendments are adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 632 is hereby ordered printed for 3rd reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 661, Senator Benson, reimbursement of pharmacists for services rendered, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the bill sponsor as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. As amended, Senate Bill 661 includes pharmacists under statutory provisions applicable to health care providers relating the maintenance and destruction of medical records. The bill also requires the Maryland Insurance Administration to establish a work group to identify options and requirements necessary for the reimbursement of pharmacists who provide certain medical services. Amendment 1 makes changes to the title of the bill. Amendment 2 strikes provisions in the bill relating to pharmacists and healthcare malpractice claims, HIV testing, and health insurance carrier reimbursement. It also requires the establishment of the work group I have described. There's no fiscal impact. There was no opposition to the bill as amended. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
All right, the floor leader moves to the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendments say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 707 is hereby ordered printed for 3rd reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 917, Senator Augustine, healthcare facilities, health services, cost.
Did we skip one? We were on 7, so 661 was on to 3rd reader. We are on 707. We were a little early.
Senate Bill 707, Senator Klossmeyer, health insurance, provider panels, coverage for non-participation, favorable with 3 amendments.
Chair recognizes the sponsor of the bill as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. As amended, Senate Bill 707 requires a health insurance carrier to inform members of the procedure to request a referral to an out-of-network specialist or a non-physician specialist if the carrier cannot provide reasonable access to a specialist to treat or provide a health care service without unreasonable delay or travel. A carrier must ensure that an out-of-network mental health or substance use disorder service received under the circumstances is provided at no greater cost to the covered individual than if the covered benefit were provided by an in-network provider. Amendment number 1 makes changes to the purpose paragraph. Amendments number 2 and 3 alter the notice requirement on carriers and out-of-pocket spending protections for members in the bill in the manner I have described. The amendment also strikes provisions specifying required reimbursement for out-of-network providers, require a certain report, and sunset the bill after 3 years. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the 3 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. 3 committee amendments are adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amended report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 707 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 917, Senator Augustine, Healthcare Facilities, Health Services, Cost Review Commission, User Fee Assessment, favorable with 1 amendment.
Chair recognizes the bill sponsors the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Health Services Cost Review Commission is responsible for rate setting for our total cost of care model. Historically, ladies and gentlemen, they have had to come to adjust the cap, in essence, like every 3 years. The last cap adjustment was in 2017, and so Senate Bill 917 alters the maximum amount of user fees the Health Service Cost Review Commission may assess on hospitals and related institutions from $16 million to the greater of 0.1% of the immediately preceding fiscal year's budgeted regulated gross hospital revenue, or the largest cap amount determined during the immediately preceding 5 fiscal years. Now, as a guardrail, we have an amendment that sunsets the user fee methodology of the bill on June 30th, 2025, and provides that the user fee cap as of July 1st, 2025, may not exceed the average of the user fee amounts determined for fiscal years 2023, 2024, and 2025. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the amendment and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the 1 committee amendment and the favorable committee report. Chair recognizes the minority leader on the amendment.
Yeah, I just heard a lot of numbers. I'd like to take a look at this, so if I could lay it over under the rules, please.
Senator's motion is in order. The bill and the amendment will lie over under the rule. All right, Senators, we're going to adjust here a little bit and take up a couple things. There are some senators who have completely immovable things this evening. And so there's a couple places where we want to make sure that they are available and here. Do we know where the senator from district? Oh, there we go. Okay. We're going to take up a report on the Committee on Rules. This is going to be calendar report number. Actually, let's just get these ones re-referred. Let's just start with number 4. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 938, Senator Eckert, Employees Pension System, Purchase of Service, re-referred to B&T.
Majority Leader moves to be considered the reading of the bills. Madam Chair, we're good with the re-referral. The committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Rules Committee did meet this morning, and we did approve the bills, and we would like for them to be sent to the appropriate committees.
Excellent.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The bills will be re-referred to their appropriate standing committees. Okay. We're still waiting on a report. Okay. Then let's ring the bells if we can. We're going to do a third reading calendar number 48. Let's do a quorum call before third reading calendar.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. With 46 members in the chamber and a quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland remains in session. This is calendar 48. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 51, Senator Jackson, Maryland Pediatric Cancer Fund Establishment.
Senate Bill 51 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 51, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 275, Senator Hayes, Labor and Employment, Family and Medical Leave Insurance Program Establishment, Time to Care Act of 2022.
Senate Bill 275 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? Chair recognizes the senator from the 37th District.
Thank you very much. Would the floor leader yield for a couple of questions?
Appears so. Senator may proceed.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We heard a lot of discussion about this yesterday, and I am still unclear about the cost. So first of all, I want to make sure I understand this. If you have employees who are participating in the program who were making less than minimum wage, how are they compensated to bring them up to an average wage, and if so, who pays for that?
Yeah, so we had a provision, if you indulge me.
Sure, take
We're
your
gonna
time.
get up on this quickly, but we do have a provision in there that if you make under $15 an hour, the state would pick up. I wish I had the reprint here. Hold on a second.
It's okay.
Yeah, under $15 an hour, the state would be picking up the portion of the contribution, right? Yeah, it's in uncodified language. It's intent language, and yeah. So there is provision language in there that when this kicks in, I try to keep reminding everybody this won't be kicking in for a few years, but at that time, it was starting in December of 2023, for those folks making under $15 an hour, I believe is the number, there will be a provision in there where the state will be kicking in to take some of the burden off of those folks.
Yeah,
and don't forget, we're not talking, that wouldn't include many people because each year our minimum wage is going up. So in fact, by the time we get to 2026, that will, the minimum wage itself will be at that number. So we're not talking about a big number, but between now and then, there is a provision in the bill.
But we haven't assessed that, or we have no way of measuring that. What I'm trying to find, being on the budget committee, I'm just looking for the numbers. So I'm just trying to ascertain what the cost will be actually to the state that may be coming out of general funds that we need to be thinking about over the next couple of years as it rolls in.
Sure, so it's intent language, so there's nothing in the bill. I mean, obviously we will be back here, as I keep saying, in 2023 after actuarial studies, a new budget. I have a lot of confidence in our budget committees that as we move forward to the end of 2023 or eventually to 2025, we'll have a lot more information about that. But as in terms of just a, kind of an initial cost as to that particular intent language, I'm told by council that comes to about 20 million. So it's, it's not zero, but it's again, that's going to change over time. That population is going to continue to decrease as the minimum wage increases. Yeah, we don't know the actual cost, but because we just don't know.
Right, I guess that was just my concern, that we are saying it's going to cost 20 million next year and maybe 20 million the following year.
Well, probably again it'll go down because less people, well, more people making minimum wage than this year, and so presumably by 2026, everybody will be making $15 an hour because that's what the minimum wage will be.
But we still don't know the rollout of what the inflation's going to do over the next couple of years either. So I'm just concerned about that. But we don't. I'm just concerned that we don't have harder numbers or more specific numbers to know what the impact's going to be for the state, because once we pass a program, it's hard to roll it back. And once we offer things to folks, it's hard to take that back. So
I understand.
So thank you very much.
And we have time to make a modification next session.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. All right, on the bill, Chair recognizes the Minority Whip on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had extended debate on this over the last couple of days. I just rise to speak in opposition to the bill. Not the goal of people being able to have the opportunity to take care of loved ones, but we have to really be careful and balanced in the way that we approach our economy and our business climate in the state. And a bill that allows for 12, and in a lot of cases is going to allow for even up to 24 weeks of paid time off, funded by a very coercive payroll tax that will assess money from every person that works in Maryland, whether or not they want to participate in the program. Every small business will have to participate. This is not, we shouldn't be passing this to this degree and specificity today. I think the House approach of a commission is much better. And again, when we talk about, sometimes our friends that support this bill will say, well, it's just a few dollars a week for, you know, somebody who's making $50,000 a year. It adds up. If you make a little more than that, it starts to add up. But a few dollars a week, that really matters when you're talking about all the things that we pile onto people in this state. The cost of living in this state is very high. The cost to do business, if you're not a major corporation or a government contractor, is extremely high. It's high even for those. It's about balance and about how much we've put on businesses, and the economy, especially for our smaller businesses, is just starting to kind of stabilize. We're dealing with, of course, inflation and high prices and a lot of problems, but the post-COVID economy is still taking shape. So it would be wise for us not to put in place this program now and instead study it further, having a true study before we put framework in place and talk about the kind of benefits and the kind of things we'll charge people for. So that's why I rise in opposition, and we'll be voting red.
Thank you, Senator. All right, on the bill, any further discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote? Explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 31 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 275, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 289, Senator McCray, Historic Revitalization Tax Credit, Funding and Extension.
Senate Bill 289 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 289, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 417, Senator Feldman, State Employee and Retiree Health and Welfare Benefits Program, Eligibility for Enrollment and Participation, Independent Agency Health Insurance Option Act.
Senate Bill 417 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 417, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 465, Senator Carter, Vehicle Laws, Licenses and Permits, Prohibited Acts.
Senate Bill 465 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 465, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 517, Senator Bailey, Criminal Procedure, Location Information, Kelsey Smith Act for Maryland.
Senate Bill 517 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 517, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 520, Senator Washington, Motor Vehicle Speed Limits Establishment and Enforcement.
Senate Bill 520 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 520, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 561, Senator Feldman, Income Tax Subtraction Modification, Employee-Owned Businesses.
Senate Bill 561 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 561, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 592, Senator Lee, Landlord or Tenant Right to Redemption of Leased Premises, Form of Pavement. This is an emergency bill.
Senate Bill 592 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 592, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 630, Senator Hester, Maryland Department of Emergency Management, Office of Resilience.
Senate Bill 630 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote? Explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 630, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 636, Senator Zucca, Maryland Department of Health, Waiver Programs, Wait Lists and Registry Reduction in the WAIT Act.
Senate Bill 636 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote? Explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 636, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. All right, let's go back. I think we're now ready for the bill out of the Committee on Rules. This is calendar number 5. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Joint Resolution 11, Senator Huff, Solidarity with the Government and People of Ukraine, favorable.
Chair recognizes the senator from Carroll County as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President, colleagues. The Senate Rules Report number 5, the Rules Committee met this afternoon and unanimously voted in support of Senate Joint Resolution 11. Senate Joint Resolution 11 makes it clear that the state of Maryland stands in solidarity with the government and people of Ukraine as they resist unprovoked invasion of their territory by the Russian Federation. Maryland stands strongly with the people of Ukraine. I'm proud of this bipartisan effort that we've undertaken together this session. And, Mr. President, I'd move it, but I would like to first yield to my friend, the senator from District 14.
Senator yields the senator from District 14.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President, and I certainly appreciate my colleague from Carroll County. Look, Mr. President, as I said earlier, this is not a partisan issue. This is a fundamental core value of us as what we see as right, and this is an opportunity again to send a signal, really not only to Marylanders but across the country on what it means to lead and what it means to care. And this is another example of us showing our support and our love and our faith in the people of Ukraine and really anywhere across the world where people feel like they're oppressed, especially when it comes to trampling on people's freedoms. So with that, I would move favorable on Senate Joint Resolution 11.
Floor leader has moved for the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the resolution or its title? Seeing none, Senate Joint Resolution 11 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. All right, senators, we've been moving much more efficiently. As a positive, we are going to have pizza being delivered at 6:15. So this is a celebration of the pizza to come. So see where we go. All right, let's go to calendar 49. We have to adjust one of the bills on here. It's Senate third reading calendar number 49.
Senate Bill 638, Senator Heddleman, Public Schools Student Athletic Requirements and Emergency Action Plans, Elijah Gorman Act.
All right, Senate Bill 638 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote? Explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 638, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 695, Senator Carrozza, Natural Resources, Voluntary Firewood Treatment Certification Program Establishment.
Senate Bill 695 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote? Explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 695, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 723, Senator King, Sales and Use Tax Digital Product Definition.
Senate Bill 723 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 723 having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 731, Senator Watson, vehicle towing or removal of secured parties, electronic notification.
Senate Bill 731 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 731 having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 744, Senator Heddleman, housing and community development, affordable housing, excess real property.
Senate Bill 744 is on third reader for final passage. Chair recognizes the Chair of Budget and Tax.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to place this bill back on second reader for purposes of amendment.
Senators move to reconsider the vote by which the bill is passed to third reader. Are there any objections to the Senator's motion? Without objection, the motion carries. Senate Bill 744 is now back on second reader, subject to an amendment. Senator has an amendment. Clerk has collected the amendment. Senator may explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. This morning when I was describing some of the great things that we're accomplishing in the budget, I mentioned something about $30 million for rental housing. An interesting dynamic of our budget process is there's different kinds of money and there's different kinds of funds and there's different kinds of ways that we can access it and use it. In this particular case, on that $30 million for the rental housing fund, we needed a vehicle, a legislative vehicle to actually make it happen, and so that's all this amendment does. I move the amendment.
The chairman moves the amendment. On the amendment, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The senator's amendment is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 744 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 772, Senator Carter, child in need of assistance, neglect, marijuana use.
All right, Senate Bill 772 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 772 having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 775, Senator Carter, courts, payment for jury service.
Senate Bill 775 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. Who's against that? With 39 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 775 having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 777, Senator Carter, Task Force to Study Public Information Act request made to law enforcement establishment.
Senate Bill 777 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? Chair recognizes the senator from the 34th District.
Yeah, I had originally opposed this bill, but this is just, it's a task, it's been reduced to a task force, so I'm going to support this bill.
All right, the jackpot bill. All right, on Senate Bill 777, third reader, final passage. We ready for the question? If so, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 777 having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 820, Senator Lamb, child abuse and neglect, investigations, timeliness.
Senate Bill 820 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call.
I'll say something.
With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 820 having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. All right, clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 932, Senator Watson, Maryland Intrastate Emergency Management Assistance Compact, City of Bowie.
Senate Bill 932 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? Chair recognizes the senator from Baltimore City.
Thank you, Mr. President. Permission to use colleague's name.
Senator may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Watson, the humble guy that he is, as our newest colleague, this is actually a second bill. We missed his first bill that he passed in the Maryland Senate. Please join me in congratulating our colleague.
All right, thank you for explaining the vote. Would anyone like to change their vote? If so, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 932 having received a constitutional majority is declared passed. Chair recognizes the senator from the 35th.
Mr. President, could I be changed from green to red on 775? I couldn't get my button to flip.
Woo! 775. Yes. Any objections? 735? 775. 775. Any objections? Without objection, so ordered. All right, let's go ahead to the special order calendar number 59. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 691, Senator Carter, Juvenile Justice Reform. Question is on the adoption of the amendment offered from the floor by Senator Huff.
We had an amendment.
Yeah, I'll withdraw my amendment.
Senator
Thank you.
withdraws the amendment. Chairman appears to have an amendment. The clerk will collect the amendment. All right. Chairman may explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. This amendment has two components. The first one is technical. The second one strikes provisions that would mandate a mandatory informal adjustment for misdemeanors and nonviolent felonies, which means the judiciary in these circumstances would maintain their discretion. And Part 2 repeals the caps on probation for crimes of violence so that the judge can continue to exercise discretion and prolong probation for as long as he or she sees fit. I'd move the adoption of the amendment.
All right, the chairman has moved the amendment. Any discussion on the amendment? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amendment is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 691 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. All right, look at that. All right, let's go to the third reading calendar. This is number 44. All right, clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 463, Senator Feldman, Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Funding Formulas Alteration, WMATA Dedicated Funding Amendment Act of 2022.
Senate Bill 463 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 32 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 463, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 467, Senator West, Business Regulation Home Improvement Commission Award Limits.
Senate Bill 467 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 467, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 474, Senator Edwards, Economic Development, Western Maryland Economic Future Investment Board and Fund Establishment.
Senate Bill 474 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 474, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, reading the next bill.
Senate Bill 475, Senator Bidle, Maryland Transit Administration Police Collective Bargaining Supervisors and Sergeants.
Senate Bill 475 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 33 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 475, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 487, Senator Griffith, Procurement Minority Business Enterprises Revisions.
Senate Bill 487 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 45 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 487, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 492, Senator Pinsky, Environment, Discharge Permits, Inspection, and Administrative Continuations.
Senate Bill 492 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 492, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 567, Senator Elfreth, Property Tax, Agriculture Use Assessment Improvements. This is an emergency bill.
Senate Bill 567 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 567 having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk reading the next bill.
Senate Bill 574, Senator Klossmeyer, Organ and Tissue Donation Awareness Fund, Annual Funding and Extension.
Senate Bill 574 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 574, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 581, Senator Bailey, Public Safety, Law Enforcement Agency, Positive Community Feedback.
Senate Bill 581 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 581, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 606, Senator West, Baltimore County Alcoholic Beverages Licenses Transfers.
Senate Bill 606 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 606, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. That does it for that calendar. Let's go to...
Mr. President.
Oh, yes, Chair recognizes Senator from the 29th.
Yes, could I change from red to green on 475?
475, red to green. Any objections? Without objections, so ordered. Senator from District 6.
Ditto.
475, red to green. Any objections? If not, so ordered. Calendar 45. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 644, Senator Sirling, Department of General Services, study on procurement preferences for businesses in historically underutilized business zones.
Senate Bill 644 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 644, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 647, Senator Young, Frederick County Electronic Tip Jar Machines, Authorization and Regulation.
Senate Bill 647 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 647, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 654, Senator Klossmeyer, Veterans Affairs, Communications, Outreach, and Advocacy Program, Veterans Advocacy and Education Act.
Senate Bill 654 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 45 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 654, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 665, Senator Quarterman, Natural Resources, Healing, Hunting, and Fishing Fund, no-cost licenses and stamps.
Senate Bill 665 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 665, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 679, Cecil County Senators, Fair Hill Improvement Fund, Special Event Area and Operations.
Senate Bill 679 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 679, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 711, Senator Bidle, Health Occupations, License, Athletic Trainers, Dry Needling, Approval.
Senate Bill 711 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 45 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 711, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 750, Senator McCray, Baltimore City Vehicle Loss Towing.
Senate Bill 750 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 750, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 770, Senator Ferguson, Department of Housing and Community Development, Homeowner Utility Repair Program and Fund Establishment.
Senate Bill 770 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 770, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 792, Senator Gazzoni, Horse Racing, Satellite Simulcast Betting Facilities and Permit Holder Alterations.
Senate Bill 792 is on third reading for final passage. Chair recognizes the minority whip.
May I ask I'd like to ask the floor leader, the sponsor, if they yield for a question?
Will the floor leader yield?
Sure.
Senator may
I just
proceed.
want to be sure I understand this bill. It seems it's not making a major change. I heard second reading, but I'm trying to be sure I understand. Like if you,
I don't think so. What I think the bottom line is that if new off-track betting facilities come online, and they come online.
Senator, can you speak a little closer?
Sorry, and if they come online at a casino, at a place that's already got gambling approved for, then they don't need to go through as much of the process to make it happen. Process in terms of they've proven themselves already through all the background checks and all the work that has to be done.
But if someone is new to this, they're still going through the process.
Absolutely.
But it's
right,
just,
and
okay.
right, and there are a number of factors. There's things like there's also procedures on there for allowing parimutuel and sports wagering on the same kiosk as opposed to having two separate kiosks.
Right, and that's in here.
Yeah,
Okay.
There's several components.
So if you're already in OTB, the casino, I get. If you're already in OTB, same thing. You don't have to go through the whole same process again.
To become like a casino, yes, you would go through.
Oh, that yes,
yeah, right.
But to do this, you would not. If you're already doing it, but we're just letting you do it a little differently. Is that
That's
in
correct.
layman's terms?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Just making sure. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, bill's on third reader for final passage. Any further discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 45 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 792, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 799, Senator Gazzoni, Community College Tuition and Residency Waivers Funding.
Senate Bill 799 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 799, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. All right, we've got third reading calendar number 46. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 803, Senator Gazzoni, Correctional Services Drinking Driver Monitor Program, Position Requirements.
Senate Bill 803 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 803, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 818, Senator Ellis, Environment Permit Applications, Environmental Justice Screening.
Senate Bill 818 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 45 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 818, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 826, Senator Klossmeyer, Economic Development, Maryland Watermen's Microloan Program Establishment.
Senate Bill 826 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 826, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 838, Senator Young, Transportation, Elderly and Handicapped Transportation Service, County Funding.
Senate Bill 838 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 838, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 875, Senator Wallstreicher, Discrimination in Housing, Citizenship, Immigration Status, and National Origin.
Senate Bill 875 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 32 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 875, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 878, Senator Wallstreicher, Maryland Trust Act, Trustee Liability Released by Interested Parties.
All right, Senate Bill 878 is on third reading for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 878, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 885, Senator Griffith, Maryland Technology Development Corporation, Maryland Equity Investment Fund established.
Senate Bill 885 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 885, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 929, Senator Gazzoni, Admission and Amusement Tax, Sports Wagering, Prohibition.
Senate Bill 929 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 929, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Clerk will read the next bill.
Senate Bill 978, Senator Edwards, Garrett County Memorial Hospital, lease authorization and alterations to Board of Governors. This is an emergency bill.
Senate Bill 978 is on third reader for final passage. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President,
Has everyone recorded their vote? Anyone wish to change their vote, explain their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. With 46 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 978, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Senator Chair recognizes the senator from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to change my vote on 875 from green to red.
875, green to red. Any objections? Without objections, so ordered. Any other vote changes here? All right. Senators, we have one calendar left. One calendar left. One calendar left. We get through this calendar, we get pizza and don't have to come in on Saturday. So, Finance, report number 13. Clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 643, Senator Lee, Commercial Law, Maryland Personal Information Protection Act revisions, favorable with one amendment.
Chair recognizes the Vice Chair of the committee as the floor leader.
Give me 5 seconds here. Hold on a second.
1, 2, 3.
Right. Do you have that sheet? Yeah, just, it's here. Can it be at the end of just this calendar? I will find it.
Are there any objections to special order at the end of the calendar?
Right.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank
Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 655, Senator Klossmeyer, Unemployment Insurance, Federal Extended Benefits for Long-Term Unemployment, favorable.
Senate bill. Chair
Thank
recognizes
you,
the Senator
Mr.
for
President.
the bill sponsors the floor leader.
Senate Bill 655 establishes an additional trigger to turn on extended unemployment insurance benefits for claimants when the extended benefits are fully paid for by the federal government. The additional trigger is based on the average total unemployment rate in the state rather than the rate of insured unemployment under current law. The bill also authorizes the Secretary of Labor to suspend the payment of extended benefits under specified circumstances. The bill takes effect June 1st, 2022, and there was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the favorable committee report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 655 is ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 682, Senator Washington, Maryland Medical Assistance Program, Gender Affirming Treatment, Trans Health Equity Act of 2022, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the chair of the committee as the floor leader.
Thank you. Senate Bill 682 requires Medicaid beginning January 1, 2023 to provide coverage for gender-affirming treatment in a non-discriminatory manner by December 1 each year. Beginning in 2023, each Medicaid Managed Care Organization, MCO, must submit a specified report to the Maryland Department of Health. By January 1 each year, beginning in 2024, the Maryland Department of Health must compile an annual report on geographic access to gender-affirming treatment. Across the state, Maryland Department of Health and each MCO must include the name, location, and types of services offered by each provider offering gender-affirming treatment in their directories. Amendment 1 adds sponsors and alters the purpose paragraph. Amendment 2 strikes the illustrative list of procedures, adds intent language, prohibits the program from denying or limiting coverage based on an individual's gender identity, and prohibits the program from establishing a categorical exclusion for a particular gender-affirming treatment. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 682 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 719, Senator Benson, Human Services, Office of Home Energy Programs, Uniform Redetermination Process, favorable with 2 amendments.
All right, chair recognizes the chair of the committee as the floor leader.
Could we come back to it? I'm trying to find it. It's not in place.
Okay, let's special order the bill until the end of the calendar. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 734, Senator Lamb, Health and Health Insurance Primary Care Reform Commission, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the Senator from Anne Arundel as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. If you or your family have tried to find a primary care provider lately, you know how difficult it's getting. We are really having issues with primary care doctors in Maryland. Senate Bill 734's amended requires the Maryland Health Care Commission to provide an annual report to the Governor and General Assembly that includes an analysis of primary care investment, ways to improve the quality of and access to primary care services, and findings and recommendations. MHCC must form a work group to develop the report, interpret the results of the required analysis, and make recommendations. Amendment 1 makes changes to the purpose paragraph. Amendment 2 strikes provisions that would have established a primary care reform commission and certain information submission requirements on payers of healthcare services and substitutes the required work group. In addition, the amendment modifies the required analysis in the report and delays by 1 year the initial delivery of the report. The amendment also requires MHCC to establish a plan for the analysis and report after receiving input and agreement from participants of the work group as to the scope and methodology of the analysis and report. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 734 is hereby ordered. 719? No, 734 is ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 804, Senator Bidle, Continuing Care at Home, Certificate of Need Exemption, favorable with 2 amendments.
Senate Bill 804. Chair recognizes the senator from Anne Arundel as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 804 exempts continuing care and home agreements from certificate of need requirements by altering the definition of healthcare facilities for the purpose of providing an exception to the requirement for a certificate of need. Amendment 1 is technical and adds sponsors. Amendment 2 alters the certification qualifications for providers of continuing care and home services by exempting providers from the pre-sale requirement if the providers satisfy the reserve requirement and either hold in escrow all entrance fees or maintain $1 million in security until the provider breaks even. There is no fiscal impact. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amended report is adopted. Any amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 804 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 823, Senator Kramer, Pharmacy Services, Administrative Organizations, and Pharmacy Benefits Manager Contracts, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes the bill sponsor as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 823 makes technical and clarifying changes to contract filing and registration requirements relating to pharmacy services administrative organizations. The bill also clarifies that a PSAO is not required to register with MIA in order to contract with a pharmacy benefit manager. Amendment 1 makes changes to the purpose paragraph. Amendment 2 is clarifying there is no fiscal impact. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. It was passed unanimously in committee. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of 2 amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amended report is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 823 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 874, Senator Wallstreicher, State Highway Administration, Pedestrian and Bicyclist Fatalities Infrastructure Review, Vision Zero Implementation Act of 2022, favorable with 2 amendments.
Chair recognizes Senator from 36th District as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. As amended, Senate Bill 874 requires the State Highway Administration to conduct an infrastructure review of each pedestrian or bicyclist fatality that occurs on a state highway or at an intersection of a state highway and another highway or municipal street. Each review must identify deficiencies in engineering, traffic control, and traffic operations and recommend appropriate corrective actions that are consistent with the U.S. Department of Transportation's best practices and the state's Vision Zero program. Amendment number 1 makes changes to the purpose paragraph. Amendment number 2 streamlines the review and requires SHA to publish the safety assessment on its website. There is no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The 2 committee amendments are adopted. On the amended report, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amended report is adopted. Any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 874 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. Clerk, read the next bill.
Senate Bill 911, Senator Quarterman, Maryland Stadium Authority, Hagerstown Multi-Use Sports and Events Facility alterations, favorable.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 7th District as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, last year we passed a bill that allowed the City of Hagerstown, their industrial foundation, to work with the Maryland Stadium Authority in the development and construction of a stadium. Since that time, that foundation has changed its name, and all this bill does is update to the new name of that foundation. There were no amendments. Mr. President, unlike my bill in the committee, this one had a vote and passed unanimously, so I ask for favorable consideration.
Floor leader moves to the adoption of the favorable committee report. On the report, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 911 is hereby ordered printed for third reading. All right, let's go back to the bill. We have the bills that were special order. I think we've got the reports now. The clerk will read the first bill.
Senate Bill 643, Senator Lee, Commercial Law, Maryland Personal Information Protection Act revisions, favorable with one amendment.
Chair recognizes the Vice Chair of the Committee as the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 643 expands the Maryland Personal Information Protection Act by broadening the personal information subject to its protections, shortening the time frames within which businesses must notify individuals of data breaches, and requiring businesses to have the necessary contact information to notify consumers about breaches directly instead of through substitute notice procedures. Among other specific changes, the bill requires businesses that collect genetic information to maintain it securely. The bill also requires a business to notify an individual of a data breach within 45 days after the business discovers or is notified of the breach, instead of within 45 days after the business concludes an investigation of the breach. The bill also specifies information that a business must provide to the Office of the Attorney General when notifying the office of a data breach. The amendment clarifies the required data breach notification timeframes for businesses when notification must be delayed for certain law enforcement or other investigative reasons, alters definitions, and makes technical changes. Mr. President, there is no fiscal impact. There is no fiscal impact. I'd move the amendment and the adoption of favorable committee report.
Floor leader moves for the adoption of one committee amendment and favorable committee report. On the amendment, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. One committee amendment is adopted. Now on the amended report, any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 643 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. We've got another special order here. Let's pull this one up.
Senate Bill 719, Senator Benson, Human Services, Office of Home Energy Programs, Uniform Redetermination Process, favorable with two amendments.
Chair recognizes the chair of the committee as the floor leader.
Thank you. Senate Bill 719 requires the Office of Home Energy Programs, OHEP, and the Department of Human Resources to develop a uniform redetermination process to be updated annually to assist eligible energy customers who are at least 65 years old in enrolling in energy assistance programs. OHEP must maintain records organized by county, including the number of households during the previous year that, 1, were eligible for redetermination, 2, whose notice of the redetermination process was verified and returned, and 3, that were re-enrolled in the redetermination process. This information must be reported to the General Assembly by December 1 of each year. The department must adopt regulations to implement the bill. Amendment 1 alters the purpose paragraph. Amendment 2 reduces from full-time to part-time, two positions that must be supported by an existing mandated appropriation under the Power to the People pilot program. There was no opposition at the committee hearing. I move the amendments and the adoption of the favorable committee report.
Chairwoman moves for the adoption of the two committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? If not, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The two committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the report say aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 719 is hereby ordered printed for third reader. I was off by 8 minutes. 8 minutes. All right, the desk is clear. The desk is entirely and fully and completely clear. Look, this was a uh-oh. Okay. This was a I just want to thank the body. This was a long week. Lots of folks had lots of things going on, and just in many different ways, in the political or in the policy way, in the personal ways. This was just a really long week, and today I think was some of the sense best, just working through things. Gets tense. That tense, adversarial at times can help lead to better product. It's the way that we do our business. And passed an incredible budget today, signed an emergency bill into law. We're just doing some big stuff. We're doing some really big stuff for the people in Maryland. So we should be proud of where we are. We got a lot left. Monday's going to be a busy day. We've got we'll probably do 3 sessions during the day, starting at 11. 11 will be our first one, and then tomorrow at the Basilica. For those who are interested, it will be a very nice ceremony. It will be better than a floor session, I promise. The Sons of Liberty. Sons of the Revolution will be presenting the gavel that is being floated, sailed up from Annapolis. I don't know, on the Maryland. So it's what's on it? Okay. And so there will be a dedication ceremony. It should be really a nice event tomorrow at 11. We'll take lots of pictures. All right. Any committee announcements before Chair recognizes the Chair of Finance Committee?
On Monday, with us starting here at 11, we have to vote a couple of bills in the committee at 10:20.
10:20 in Finance. Thank you, Madam Chair. Chair recognizes the Chair of Education, Health, and Environmental Affairs.
Similarly, Mr. President, EHE will meet for a couple of bills and voting 10:15, 45 minutes before we come into session.
10:15 for EHEA. Chair recognizes the Chair of B&T.
Let's say 10 o'clock on Monday.
10 o'clock on Monday. 10 o'clock on Monday for Budget and Tax. Chair recognizes the Chair of JPR. All right. JPR is good. All right. So any other select committees, standing committees, delegations? If not, let's hear from the co-chair of the Protocol Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Permission to use the senator's name.
Senator may absolutely proceed.
Thank you. I'm really glad we're getting out early because today is Senator Sidnor's birthday.
Hey! The pizza party is for you. The pizza party is for you. And to the members of the press, please, we have lots of pizza, so you're more than welcome. It's all off the record. So, all right. Any other piece of business before we do a quorum call? If not, Madam Clerk.
Damn, I was going to go.
Oh, Chair recognizes the Senator from Baltimore City.
Mr. President, I just wanted to say thank you for the great advice that you gave us this earlier during this session. We'll remember to let it go.
There it goes. All right. Let it go. All right. Madam Clerk.
Mr. President.
Has everyone recorded their presence in the chamber? If so, the clerk will take the call. With 42 members in the chamber and a quorum being present, Senate Maryland remains in session. Chair recognizes the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate of Maryland stand adjourned until Monday, March 21st at 11 a.m.
11 a.m. without objection, so ordered. Stay safe. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone.